To be honest, I would not plan on pursuing my parents' career choice just because it's not me, and just because like growing up, I never really knew what they did, but I knew that they worked hard. I knew that they had a great work ethic, and that's something that influenced me in my life. I do think that parents do have a big influence on their children's lives, not even just in their careers, but just as who they become as people, and I think that can be a good thing, but also a really bad thing.
You know, Devlin tells us, I do think parents have lots of influence of their kids, but the kids may not even like the job. The lie is when you pressure them. Were you ever pressured by your parents?
Okay, here's the thing. I never felt pressured and uncomfortable, but I did actually end up in the exact same field as my dad. I'm studying nuclear engineering. My dad is literally in the nuclear waste cleanup field. And I think what happened to me is when I was younger, my dad took me to work a lot, and I always got to be around science, and inherently came to love science, pursued a science degree, and then switched my science degree to another science degree, which just so happened to be what my dad did. So I think my parents did influence me significantly. But do I feel like I don't love nuclear engineering? No, I really do love it. So in my case, it turned out really well, the influence that my parents had in terms of my career.
Yeah.
I don't know, Gracie, what about you? What do your parents do? Are you like pursuing that?
So when I was really young, my mom's a lactation consultant. So when I was like really young, she like helps people with breastfeeding. Okay. So when I was very young, when I was like 7 years old, and I thought I would be like, I'd be like with my dolls, and I'd be like, are they pumping or hand expressing? This is important. Like when I was younger, I thought that this was like, but then I grew, now I'm not really following my parents, but like my parents' careers. But I think that I can understand you be influenced by your parents, but I also think that it's really important that if your parents do influence your career, they can influence your passion, expose you to something you maybe wouldn't be. But I'm very anti-nepotism. I'm very anti maybe like family connections. Like I would hope that, I mean, I know you would use family connect. I know you would, because who doesn't? But that makes me, that's
It's not only you would also think about like if I had kids and I was successful in a field, and I want to make sure that my kids, just had a safe, secure future, I'd feel like I'd not even be a good parent if I did it. Because if I know all the other adults are doing it, would you be a bad parent if you didn't try to use this nepotism in their favor?
To influence them to have your career?
No, to help them get
like
connections.
Have connections. Yeah. Like if you were a lawyer and your kid says you want to be a lawyer, are you still a good mom if you don't maybe like get your son an internship, or a good dad if you don't get your son an internship at this place?
I mean, I think you would be, but I think, well, look at the kid. What if your kid didn't want to be a lawyer? I think I think back to the toxic like connections in families where their parents try so hard to make their kids go into their field because that's what they know best. But that might not always be right for that kid. That kid might want to be creative, or that kid want to be in the work field, and that could be something that's completely opposite to them, and they always feel like, oh no, you can't do that because that's not safe, because that's not what I did. And I think that's where it can get so toxic.
You know what, I think there's also really another influence. My mom is not a science major. My mom is a very, very businesswoman, and she used to take me to work as well, and one of the things that she influenced me on is that I definitely did not want to be a business person. So I think like that's an interesting way to influence the career choice, because I went there and I was like, yeah, this is definitely not something I wanted to do, and my mom was cool with that, but she exposed me to the world.